Very sad. Put it up full mass. A woman who was ran over, okay, will not see justice. Justice will not be permitted in this case, excuse me. Mika J. Westwolf, 22 years of age, was walking home along US Highway 93 on the Flathead Reservation. This was in the early morning hours of March. It was March 31st. Ms. Westwolf was walking toward traffic when a Cadillac Escalade driving north on the highway struck and killed her. Ms. Westwolf was declared dead at the scene. That's according to a Montana Highway Patrol fatal report. Now, this is where it gets complicated for those who want to make it complicated, and it remains simple for those of us who are okay with simple. Tribal police were the first to arrive on the scene, and the highway patrol trooper who arrived later filed a fatal crash report listing an unnamed driver as a 28-year-old woman from Butte who had 2 children in the car, a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. None of the occupants in the car were injured. Alcohol, drugs, and speed were not listed as suspected factors in the crash. Because Westwolf was killed on a highway, Montana Highway Patrol is the lead investigative agency in her particular case. So let's go to Lake County. Lake County, the attorney, James Lapatka, confirmed that on the same day as Westwolf's death, a suspect was arrested shortly after the crash on suspicion of DUI in Lake County. The suspect, a woman, was booked into the Lake County jail, but released because the county attorney's office decided there wasn't sufficient evidence to file a DUI charge without the toxicology evidence currently being processed by the state crime lab. He added that the crime lab is taking about 8 weeks to process the results. So the attorney confirmed that a woman named Sunny K, all right, Sunny K. White is 24 years old, and her Cadillac Escalade is being investigated by Montana Highway Patrol as the suspect car involved in hitting the pedestrian on March 31st near Arlee. The attorney did not confirm whether White was the arrested DUI suspect, but the victim's family believed the incident could be connected. White is not currently in custody and is not currently facing criminal charges in connection to the death of Ms. Westwolf. Alarming note about White and her children. According to a missing endangered person advisory issued from the law enforcement agency on April 7th, 7 days after the death of Ms. Westwolf, White broke into a residence and took her 2 children, 4-year-old Arian and 2-year-old Nation. Did you hear me? The children are named Arian and Nation. What I'm saying is it looks like she almost got away with killing a Native woman, okay? And now this discovery of alleged white supremacy has surfaced. Is there a connection in the police department? Is my first question as to how did she end up just walking away? There's more. The Montana Standard reported this information to us. The children's ages and genders and White's age and gender match information listed in the fatal crash report. Everything adds up. Here's the family GoFundMe. I want us to help as much as we can. Mika Matters, Justice for Mika Josephine Westwolf. We're raising money here. Do the best you can. Make sure positive vibes, prayer remain with the family. All right, hell of a thing. So here's what I'm seeing here, Mr. Mayor, all right? Now this is speculation, but I've been right about these things before. I'm seeing something that is not right, but it seems like the dots are starting to connect. There's this white supremacist connection. It has to run deep for you to name children Aryan and Nation, okay? That's deep. All right, that's deeply rooted. Her getting away with it initially, not being arrested as anybody else would have, and staying in jail, the person is dead, right? This doesn't make sense until you consider that there are connections that are unknown at this moment. Mr. Mayor, what are your thoughts?
I think also, well, first of all, Miss White is the mother of Aryan Nation, Aryan and Nation. Did she change her name to White as well? So if any, did they also implicate the state's DUI charges because they just said they didn't have sufficient evidence, which means their standard field test is not sufficient. So everybody that has those charges should be trying to say, hey, that evidence is not sufficient. If you didn't give me a toxicology test, then it's not sufficient. That's the second thing. Lastly, where other than America do you name your church Aryan Nations?
Yeah,
you can't make this up. The idea, the tolerance for suffering of people of color. Where is Miss Westwolf's $2 million raised? She did nothing except for try to walk home and was murdered. I'm going to go ahead and call it murder. And I know legally that's irresponsible, but let's be serious. We see what's happening here. There's a pattern, and not just in this case, but in America, where we see all of these signs, all of these factors, all of these elements, and we still won't call it racism. We won't call it white supremacy. We won't call it America doing business as usual when we know exactly what it is. And all they're waiting on is for it to get out of our conscious, and the next media sensation comes about, and this woman will walk free while Miss Westwolf family suffer with no justice.
Not on our watch, though, Mr. Mayor.